Prem Solovindravan Bihari Lala Ki Jai. Sitaram, everybody, and happy Father's Day to everybody, first of all, to all fathers. I hope you all had a good day, a restful day, a safe day. For those in Trinidad, it was a quiet day. Everybody was under curfew in their homes. For those of you elsewhere, it could have been a little more festive. And God bless us for that opportunity to enjoy the company of our loved ones and our dear ones. If you've lost your father, today is a good day. This satsang is a good opportunity to say prayer on his behalf, on his soul's behalf. Last night, we went through the Gita Mahatyam and we discussed the value of the Bhagwat Gita. We listened, as we'll recap on some of it tonight, the value of chanting the Gita, keeping the Gita, worshipping the Gita, and why. Why is this book so pertinent to the Hindu? All of that we went through with the reading of the Gita Mahatyam as in the Varaha Purana. Then I read from the Gita Press version as well as the Mahabharata of chapter 4. Going from verse to verse, the entire 42 verses, we did it, discussing what it meant, what it referred to. For example, he discussed the 14 different ways people do sacrifice, good karma, to burn away past sins, mistakes. Then he makes a statement, coming to the end of the chapter, that when a person gains knowledge, O Arjun, just as fire burns wood into ash, knowledge guiding the action that the person is doing, guiding the prayer, guiding the sacrifice, guiding the yagna, the different type of fasts, the different types of things that we do, then that too will burn away sin. For some people, when we talk about karma, some people don't want to forgive themselves. I'm a bad person, I've done bad things. Some people cannot forgive others. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, he says, my devotee, the one that is dear to me, is the person who could forgive. Forgive. To forgive is really divine. Tonight, someone asked me in the course of today, I mentioned last night in one of the sacrifices where he talks about sacrificing your senses, sacrificing the ability to what we listen to. And I use the example of only wanting to listen to auspicious things, subtle things, satsang, for example. I don't want to listen to garbage. I have no time for that. I enjoy watching religious shows on the television. I enjoy talking about religious topics. So I'm sacrificing the different sense organs that I have in doing positive karma. And one of the references was in the organs of action was the sacrifice of speech, of our silence, as many people take. Maunvrat, we call it. So somebody asked me a little bit about that and we'll touch on it tonight. And as July month is coming, the month of July, Shravan, from the word Shravana, meaning to listen, to listen. We'll talk a little bit about that. Tonight, as we go forward into our last discourse, many people are very accustomed with the usage of the Hanuman Chalisa. Chalisa again means 40 verses in praise of Hanumanji. That is what it is. Is it the only passage? No. There are other passages, other prayers that is offered to Shanti, to gain the love, the blessings, the good karma, the protection. As he says last night, when the person wants success in the action, they worship the Devata. So the person might chant Bhajram, Ban, Hanuman Chalisa, Hanuman Bahuka, different things. Hanuman Stavan, different prayers. And you gain now from the chanting of that particular type of prayer, you get that darshan. So we gain that prayer. But do you know that your Gita, and again I'm using this as an example, your Gita can be used to gain different levels of blessing, different levels of salvation is possible. Tonight we will read from various texts, predominantly Padma Puran, where Lord Vishnu is speaking to Lakshmi Mata about the benefits of using the Gita to get the blessing and blessedness that a person wants. In this Padma Puran section, and I'm reading from chapter 178, where Lord Vishnu is dealing with the benefit, Lakshmi, of listening, the illustration of listening to chapter 4, Bhagwat Gita. In addition to that, we'll be listening to, at the beginning of our discourse, we will listen to Garud Puran, where Lord Vishnu is explaining to Garud the value in a synopsis form of what we were talking about last night, what this Gita is going to give us. And then I want to touch a little bit on Mount Brat and Shravan month that is coming. Before we continue, please join your hands and let's do invocation mantras on this last night of our Yagna. Prabhu, thank you for this time. Thank you on this Ekadasi. We can be together. Nirjal Ekadasi, people are fasting all day, all night. Some were fasting last night, into today, into tonight, and they will end their breath tomorrow with the rising of the sun. Prabhu, we thank you for the opportunity to learn more about your teachings, your texts, your words, to hear from your lips what a person should do. Tonight, may you bless all those that are viewing. Bless those that will share the satsang for other people to get a chance to learn about their dharma. Prabhu, look how easy it is. Now when people complain, the young people today don't know their dharma. Imagine each person has the opportunity to just share the satsang. Share with the grandchildren, children, wherever they might be living. Those people we love and those near ones and dear ones. Please watch, please listen so that you could too learn about the greatness, the mahima of our dharma. Dear God, thank you for this opportunity in these times. There are so many people praying tonight as that Delta variant, the Omega variant, as they are spreading and causing trouble and pain for people. In some parts of the world, it is as if the third wave of coronavirus is attacking mankind. Prabhu, if it is because of our karma, we are going through this hardship, this drought of finances, Prabhu, loss of life, it is as if we are standing in a battlefield, dear God, and we are fighting an enemy we cannot see. Dear God, listen to the prayer of your children tonight and bless us. Please bless us with your protection. Om Gajananam Bhutaganadi Sevitam Kapet Jumbo
Palachara Bhakshitam
Umasutam Sho Kavinashkarakam Namami Vighaneshwara Padapankajam Sarvamangalamangale Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trayambike Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum langhayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande Paramanandam madhavam. Om Anadhini. As we say this prayer, for those of you that have lost loved ones during this pandemic, for whatever reason, some of you cannot get the support of normal satsang. And tonight, let me be the guru in your home. Let me be that pandit that is lending support. No effort necessary, just listen. Just look on your phone, tablet, whatever have you. No preparations. But by listening to the prayer tonight, let your loved one, let your dear one get that ashirwad, that blessing. Om Anadhini Dhano Deva Shankha Chakra Gadadhara Akshay Pundari Kaksham Preta Moksha Pradobhavam. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. Last night in chapter 4, Lord Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bharti bharata. He says, whenever, oh Bharat, oh great-grandson, descendant of that person called Bharat, virtue diminishes, when sin predominates, I come upon you. Last night we heard how he explains, I take birth age after age for the protection of goodness and for the destruction of wickedness, to establish equilibrium, dharma. This is why I come. Janam karma cha me Divyamevayo vitattvataha yakkava deham purjana Arjuna mamevati. So Arjuna, he who knows this, O Arjun, knows the history of my birth, knows the story of my birth. When he leaves this body, he is not going to come again. That individual is going to come to me. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. And as we went through, he started to describe to Arjun the value of doing karma, using action, doing what is necessary for the body, for the family, your parabd karma, but not holding on to desires. And I use the example that you have a car, or you have a house, you have to maintain the car, you have to clean the house, you have to do different things. But for some people, the car becomes their life, it becomes their focus, all their energy, everything, all their thoughts, and they want to do it because they want to show everybody they have a nice car. When in fact, you could have a car, but you don't have to become so haughty. You don't have to become so competitive that my curtain must be better than the next person. You could just block your curtain for privacy. You could have a house that is clean. You could have a home and be contented not trying to compete with the neighbor, for example. All these are just simple examples that children could understand. All these things and more explained last night as he talked about how do you do. In fact, remember our study only focused last night on chapter 4. But because he would confuse Arjun, because the book continues, he would continue to confuse me and you until we study it. When he goes into chapter 5, for example, verse 8 and verse 9, and he's telling Arjun about the person who thinks that using the study of knowledge alone is very difficult when it comes to how easy a person who studies in doing your job, in doing your duty, think about God. In these verses 8 and 9 in chapter 5, he says, the Sankhya Yogi, or the person who's studying knowledge, knows the reality of things, must believe that he is doing nothing. He must not focus on the action. Even when he's sitting, seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, drinking, walking, sleeping, breathing, speaking, answering the call of nature, using the restroom, grasping, opening or closing the eyes, holding things, all these things, he cannot allow it to sway his mind. But the person who is following Karma Yoga performs action only to get it done. Only, and I hope I'm explaining this totally for you, without holding on to a desire. So I am eating, I am walking, but as he says in a different section, whatever you do, do it for me. Whatever you do, cooking, walking, smelling, think about me. Lord Krishna, this rose smells so nice. Lord Krishna, this sun rays so nice. Prabhu, thank you for the cloud and the hot sun. And in this way, the person starts to shake off the attachment to the things that may surround us. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. Tonight, our discourse deals with the value of this chapter, this one chapter. As I said, this is our focus. And as a Hindu, tonight, as you hear me say it, and I'm saying it again, we cannot remain only in first year Hinduism. We must elevate, we must grow, we must start to think outside of what we know now in order to grow further. Just as I was saying earlier, that a person uses the Hanuman Chalisa, as he says here, worship the Devta, and the success that you are looking for, the Devta grants you the energy, the good luck, the punyam, the good luck, the Ashirvad, to get what you are working towards, the possession that you want, the desire you wish to have, such as, let's say, to pass the exam. I might worship Saraswati Mata, and Mother gives me the darshan that I must go now and be able confidently to pass the exam. Alright, so I chant Chalisa, I do different type of prayer, I chant Saraswati Vandanam, I fast, I offer different type of prasad, different things that we are following. Good. Suppose I told you tonight that this Gita could also be a tool for a similar type process. As I said in chapter 4, and this is our example, each chapter has a benefit. Suppose we could chant, just like how Chalisa is chanted, verse to verse to verse to verse to verse. Suppose we practice sitting as people do when they're studying Gita. If you never considered it, think about it this way. We do it in Ramayana. We do it with Gita. What? Let's say we get a copy, and Mommy, Baba and I are working on it, but just for the purpose of this year, chapter 4. We have the verses, and you're reading it, you're studying it, analyzing it, but you're reading Shri Guru Charana Saru Jaraja, and you're reading now just like how you chant the Chalisa, verse to verse, you recite the verses of the Gita. And believe it or not, it is useful. And this is what Lakshmi Mata is confused about. She never knew this. She never heard this. And this is what our discourse tonight is going to take us. For the purpose of those that did not get to chant it last night, as people were messaging today. And again, if you came in late, I want to say Happy Father's Day to everybody. God's blessings. Please remember to leave me a message, send me a comment, where you're from. Have you ever heard that you could chant the verses of your Bhagwat Gita to get blessings, added blessings to the devotee of Lord Krishna? Tell me what you're feeling tonight as we are about to delve into our discourse. Join your hands, everybody. Remember to share the satsang. Please share it. Many people will benefit from your simple click, simple act, your simple karma of allowing other people to view and listen and learn. In a short while, we'll close off. Make use of this time. As we pray now, let's chant just a couple of verses. Varahapuran Gita Mahatya. Parabdam Bhujamano He Gita Vyasa Sara Sara Samukha Sukhilo Karmana No Pali Pyat Mahapapadi Papani Gita Dhyanam Karoti Chet Prachit Sparsham Na Kurvandi Nalani Dhalam Ambavit. Lord Vishnu is speaking, Lord Krishna is speaking to Mother Earth, that just as water does not stain a leaf, so do sins do not taint the person who chants Gita regularly. Sarvadevasya Rishyo Yogi Panagayascha Ye Gopala Gopika Vyapi Narad Udva Parashare. Mother, all the devatas, the sages, the yogins, the sapin, the Gopal, Gopika, Krishna himself, Narad Muni, Udavan, all the other great souls dwell. They come close where the Gita is kept. Where the person who is reading, hearing, teaching the Gita, help comes to them very quickly. I take refuge in the Gita. The Gita is the place I live. It is my best abode. And from the Gita I protect these three worlds there. Mother, Gita me param vidya brahmarupa na sangshayaha adyamatra raksha shara nitya swami nirvache padamika. Om, the Gita is my highest science, which is doubtless. We want to remove doubt in the form of Brahman or God, the eternal. Adyamatra is a word to describe Om, the infallible splendor, the start, the first thing, the self, the description. These words come from the mouth of Lord Krishna to the ear of Arjuna. It has all the Veda, all the knowledge is there. If a person should chant the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita daily with pure mind, with good intention, the person attains knowledge, the person attains mukti, liberation. Pat asmarta sampurna tatu ardham pata charitra tada ghodhanam punyalabhayate natra sangshayaha. If a complete reading is not possible, and a person could read half the book, the benefit, allow that individual to know that by reading 9 chapters of the Gita, they will get the benefit of giving Gaudan, giving the cow in that. Traibhagyam padamastu ganga snanam phalam labet shadam sham japamanastu somyagya phalam labet. He who read 1/3 of the Gita achieves the merit of having taken bath in the Ganga. The person who recites 1/6, 1/3 is 6 chapters, 1/6 is 3 chapters, this person attains the merit of doing Somyagya. Ek dhyanam tu nityam pathe bhakti samyukta rudralok navapnoti gano bhutva vasir chiram. The person who reads one discourse with supreme faith devotion. Remember he said in chapter 4, the person who has doubt, no faith, that person, they can't find happiness. They will have the house, they will have the job, they will have the family, and still they are never satisfied. They are never, the urges, the lust, the jealousy, the greed, it is never enough. You will do whatever to get more land, whatever to get more money, more woman or more man. The children are insufficient. Nothing is enough. And time is going, time is going, time is going. But when a person should practice reading one discourse with that faith and that happiness, that devotion, that person attains Rudra. He becomes the attendant, the gunner of Lord Shiva. And that person goes and remains together with him. Mahadev Baba. Gitaya Shlok Dasakam Saptamam Panchamam Chaturtayam Dvature Nikam Taradham Va Shlokanamya Pathenaraha Chandralokam Navapmurti Varshanam Mayuntanam Durvanam Gita Pat Samayukto Amritam Manushyatam Vrajate. The person who can't read 1, 6 or 3 chapters a day, that person, when he should read 10, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, half of a verse, that person goes to the heavenly looks and remains there for 10,000 years. So easy is it to get upliftment by the study of the Gita, that even such a person when goes and he lives in the different Swarga lok, different lok, upper loks, that when this person is reborn upon the earth, he is born as a person who has all amenities, perfect body, in this human form, perfect body, and has all facilities waiting. What we were talking about last night, as if the person is born with a gold spoon, this is it. This is how you get it. By repeated study of the Gita, he attains liberation. Liberation, uttering the word Gita at the time of death. We spoke about the value of naming a child Gita. Though full of sin, one who is ever intent on hearing the translation, the meaning of Gita goes to the Vaikuntha. Gita Arth Shravano Shakto. Gita Arth, meaning of the Gita, but Shravano means Shravanam, to listen. The prayer, one of the forms of bhakti is to listen. I love to hear my God. By persons listening to prayer, let's say a puja, I go to prayer, I'm watching somebody else do the prayer, but I love to listen. And by listening to it, that form of bhakti, the person is getting the prayer and the blessing as if they did the prayer themselves. Though full of sin, the person who is intent on hearing the meaning, pulling out the different thoughts that are there in the Gita, goes to Vaikuntha. Imagine that. I want to pause here. Imagine the person who could read or listen to Gita. This is the blessing. So we spoke, Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. We spoke last night and I was talking about the value of the Gita. If anything should change in your life, I'm begging you. We are fighting for lives. We're fighting for job. We're fighting for a way to be able to practice religion, to go to the temple, to go to the rivers. People have so little rights now. If you go by the river during the daytime just to offer your little grains or your little offering like a dar, we could be charged by the police. This is the times we live in. Don't get comfortable with it. The first night I spoke about it. Don't get comfortable. We have to overcome this and we're going to come out of this and we're going to get our rights reinstated. This is supposed to be a short time, not forever and ever. This is not the new normal. Please take that out of your head. So we have to read and learn how to solve our problems. When we have issues, we have to be able to overcome it. And one way to overcome it is by the use of our Gita. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. Let us enter into the end of Gurupram. This is not the section where they're dealing with, I believe this is the Brahmakand. Brahmakand, yes. And in the end, Lord Vishnu is speaking to Lakshmi Devi. And he's talking about Gita Sar, the journey into the Gita. And he's talking to Lakshmi Mata about the value. And this is a very short chapter. But let's hear what he talks about. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Narayanaya Krishnaya
Paramatmaya Namo Namah.
Vedumya eva diptyayatir charita dipadayyavam devati manaye vidutu agyanye karshuyatam Narayanaya Krishnaya
Paramatmaya Namo Namah.
Shutradinina Pashyadhinta Sarva Swayama Manusyatam Sarvagyan Sarvayag Sarvadhesha Dashtir Shutra Gyanyatam Narayanaya Krishnaya
Paramatmaya Namo Namah.
Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. He says, Devi, let me give you in a synopsis the value of this Gita. I am the self. I am the energy. I am the Paramatma that dwells in everything. Combination of Nitya and energy. This self is like a smokeless fire, like a flash of lightning in the sky. It burns in the cavity of all the hearts of creatures I have created. The senses, such as the ears, do not perceive the omniscient, all-seeing, self-conscious self that exists within the body, exists outside the body. It is always lost in the different maya that I put on. They get distracted by what they see and they do not think about what is behind what they see. The energy that is making the sun glow, the energy that is making the flowers smell fragrant. When through different type of praschit karma, when through different type of repenting action, there is an extinction of sin. And the person can see the self and have self-realization, meaning to realize that within him I am there, within the person I am there, within the female I am there, within the mind. When this buddhi comes like a burning flame and this knowledge is there, then I am within that individual. And very quickly, that individual merges into me because we are one and the same, and there is no distraction, there is no desires, there is no sin, there is no karma, there is nothing to hamper the linkage between the two. He says, Krishna explained this to that son of Pandu. And by merging all the senses, controlling the senses now, by holding the intellect, taking control of your thoughts, taking control of the way we think, that level of control. Oh, intelligent lady, when a person has the understanding of these things with the 9 apatyas in the body that support vata, pitta, kapha, the different parts of the body, the different shapes of the body, the different phases the body, and the principles that the body follow, the 5 cognitive organs, the witnesses that are in the body, these things, when they are in this way, we call that the kavi, the seeker. The person wants to come back to me. The person is using all the utensils that I have given to them in the search to go home back to God, to take the Jiva Atma, to return to Param Atma. They are ready to see me now, and they are not distracted by my creation. They are not distracted by all these different things. Oh, Devi, the son of Arjun was taught, how does a person gain the opportunity? But in chapter 4 of the Gita, self-control, rules of pertinence, posture, pranayam, controlling the distraction and abstraction of the mind from the external world, meditation, samadhi, using the various forms of yoga, these things gain a person the liberation, the mukti that they are looking for. Then a person should practice these things. When a person is able to practice these things, purification, different type of tapasya, following different type of vrat, like I said today, Ekadasi. So people who use the prayers, people who use the Satarudriya, different mantras, different type of Vedantic texts and studies, different types of things we asan, the Padma asan, Sukhasan, etc. Using the tilak, using swastika and other different marks, practicing different type of breathing exercise, meditation, dhyanam, using pratahara, meaning using the restraining the mind and the senses from wandering all over the place, but pratahara, controlling, keeping it here and focus on what you're doing. And as the soul gains the knowledge and becomes freer, more and more it will be able to do. And dear Devi, as he explained then, as it is now, the person slowly comes back to me. He says in this Puran of Garud Puran, the person who listens to this narration, that person, when they give charity, when they give dhan, when they give land, when they give food, when they give dakshina, when they share food stuff, their descendants, their ancestors will gain from the purification that is promised in this text. Vrindavan Shri Vishnu Bhagwan Ki Jai. Tonight, I want to touch on 2 things. He talks about pratahara, controlling the senses, and somebody asked me about Maun Vrat. Maun, silence, a vow of silence. Silence, using different sense organs and controlling it. Where is this touched on? Chapter 17 of Bhagwat Gita, verse 16. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Manah prasada saukyam tvaham Maunamatya bhavinigrahata bhavasangshodhi Dhiritya tat tapuman samayuktayate Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Nama Narayanaya Krishnaya
Paramatmaya Namo Namah.
Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. In this verse, and I'm saying chapter 17, verse 16, cheerfulness of the mind, being positive. You know, yesterday we were talking about gaining happiness by reading this chapter 4. That simply by reading chapter 4, by practicing, thinking about it, as you heard in Mahatyam, constant reading, listening, it is going to give. It never said only understanding. Just by repeating it. Do you understand everything? Every verse in Hanuman Chalisa, for example? But with faith you recite it, and you know that when you're doing that karma, blessings and protection will come. Likewise. Practicing cheerfulness, not only false smiles, everybody else, everything is okay. But in your mind, not only being perturbed, angry, anxious, but looking for happiness. Equilibrium, being balanced, and Mount. In this version, in the Gita Press version, it doesn't have the word silence, but in the Mahabharata it says silence. Self-restraint, purity of disposition constitute penance of the mind. Austerity in Gita Press, austerity of the mind. So it's in this chapter he's talking about the different ways we do yagya, sacrifice, rajasic, tamasic, sattvic, worship, and now penance, different type of penance, mental penance. By being happy is a way of purifying the mind. By being silent, firstly, how do you start it when you're now getting into the practice? We practice quiet, physical quiet, and the intention is to get mental control, mental quiet. That one a little more tough to get. But when you are in a soft melody, calming incense, the sense organs, listening and smelling, and you are in a prayerful environment, the vibration of the place you are in, like let's say in your prayer room, sitting on a kush grass mat, this asana, using the right posture, and you are feeding off the environment. It sounds strange to say feeding off the environment. To take the peacefulness of the place and train your mind to just stay here. To remain in one place, not to be helter-skelter. Of course, it takes practice. But imagine, in another way to look at it, how does the environment affect you? Have you ever gone to some place, it's maybe perfect, and they offer you something to eat, and I don't want to eat here. And then maybe in a lesser place, not the best food, but the place is feeling so calm, so peaceful, so good. Just to use a word, good. And somebody says, will you eat? Yes, I want to eat here. The vibration of the place, we call it. Every pundit understands that. Some place when you go is so positive. Some place when you go is the opposite. If you find that peacefulness in your prayer room, which is the purpose of having a temple or a puja room or a prayer shelf or that Deuta corner, it is to find a peacefulness. It is to help that peacefulness share further and further into your home, into your life. So we go to the prayer room or the puja room, having cleansed our body physically, and it is now time to practice silence. It is now time to practice happiness. It is now, we have in prayers this morning, we want to be peaceful. We don't want to be cursing and angry and aggressive. And these things constitute part of your prayer. If somebody says, shh, prayers is going on, because they are trying to focus on the God, the puja, the offering, the chanting, the stotra. I want to bring my mind here and I don't want it to go all over. And this is why there's a correlation with silence, peacefulness, and the puja that we do. This is why it is valuable when sometimes you are having prayer. It is not a revival we have in like in other religion where everything is jump and raise a flag and jump up the place and whatever. The purpose of prayer, according to Bhagwat Gita, we're trying to attain a certain amount of penance, a certain amount of austerity, as Lord Vishnu is telling Lakshmi Mata in Garpran. That when the person is using pratyahara method, just as some people use pranayama method to cleanse the body with the breathing, with using oxygen, controlling the diaphragm. Some people do jap, some people do dhan, some people do different things. We are trying to purify the body. This penance of the mind, of this silence, just one of the many things it have there. He says this is a way praschit karma. We talked about yesterday when we were doing the Mahatyam. Parabdha karma is that karma that makes a person have the rules and relationships they have. Who becomes a husband, who has a child, who has a dog, who has a home, who does not have a home, for example. Praschit karma now is those actions, those types of karma that we endeavor into for forgiveness, to overcome the bad things that are happening. So this is where the thinking comes. Oh, I'm seeing trouble at work. Baba, it have a job I could do. It have a fasting I could do. It have anything I could do. That when I do it, the trouble I am seeing, the problems I am seeing, it will lessen or disappear. Let's imagine sickness. So people fast on a Thursday for Brihaspati Devta. They use his beach mantra, Om Gram Ring Grausa Guruve Nama. They would offer moon beams into the fire, dear God. If you as a planet is causing some issue in my life, please forgive me and allow it to shanti. Let me see a break, let me see change. Different times when people have Mangal Dosh and they're seeing trouble in married life. People go and they feed ants and they feed birds and they do jam. All these austerities, I'm using big word now, austerity, helps a person by the practice of praschit karma to become free of the punishment, the parabdha karma in this life. So could you be forgiven? We've been saying it over and over again. The knowledge of your dharma, the knowledge of God, looking for the self. He says the person stands and after doing all the pratyahara, the pranayama, the different things to purify the soul, now being free from the karma, the person is able to see me in my true self, and we call that self-realization, God realization, realizing where God or who God is, without doubt, with full faith. That person is coming back to me. The person enjoys happiness. We talked about happiness last night, and tonight he says it again. When people do this Maun Vrat in the month of Bhadov, which is the 6th month in the Hindu calendar, for 16 days Maun Vrat is done. This is one example of that time. In different months, remember I said that last night, in different months we have different Vrat. And using the Vrat such as Chandrayan Vrat, Ekadasi Vrat, Kricha Chandrayan Vrat, different Ashtami Vrat, Naumi Vrat, Saptami Vrat, different things are happening. Do you do Ashtami Vrat? I think we do Janam Ashtami Vrat. So we do observe these things, and maybe you don't understand why I journey to the temple, why I try for Shivratri night to fast from sleep, or I endeavor to do the puja. What is the value? When you have parabdha karma, it is a means to help clear your way. It is a means that you are using the faculties of your hands, your eyes, your lips to sing, the prayer, the jap, mala. I am using all these things. Dear God, you've given me these things, and I'm trying to clear my way. I'm trying to do good to get to you. One example that deals with Mount Vrat in this same Mahabharata, at the end of Mahabharata, Mahabharata is a text that is being dictated by Vyas, Ved Vyas Ji, a great Muni, the writer of many texts, Bhagwat, Puran and others, Devi Bhagwat as well. The last verse is dictated, and Ganesh Baba, he's asked, when Ved Vyas asked Brahma for the permission to write Mahabharata, he had asked permission to get Ganapati to come and be the secretary to write everything. He's official. Ganapati Baba had to get a pen that is not going to run out of ink. So remember when Kartik hits him the cuff, he broke the tusk, Ekadanta, he has one tusk, the other one is broken. The broken tusk is what he's using to write this text called Mahabharata. Going, large text. And when it was done, Ved Vyas Muni says to Ganapati, I have called out hundreds of thousands of words, how many slokas. And in that time, you have said not one word. I have not heard you, O Ganapati, O Ekadanta, I have not heard you say one word. And Ganesh Baba looks at Guruji and he says, I have always believed that the truth about this life, about the time, that about the passage of time is that it is constantly in motion. It is moving. The time we have to sit together is moving. It is happening. It is going. The time or the amount of breath we breathe, oh, Ved Vyas Ji, is limited. Therefore, I have always believed in utilizing the energy that I have efficiently. Now there are different yogas that explain this, describe this, that have technical words. I don't want to confuse the children looking on. Ganesh Baba says, I believe in utilizing the time, the effort, the energy that I have properly and efficiently. And I use the time to listen, Shravanam, to listen to all that you were dictated. And I did not have time to speak. For blessed is the person that learns control of the speech is the first step to stop wasting effort and energy. Mount Vrat is that control. Mount is silence. And if you look at your life tonight as we conclude, if you think about the things we say to each other in our marriage, in our siblings, relationships, in the job, when you think that this mouth tells so many lies, half-truths, falseness, egotistical statements, it is a weapon that drags down the soul. Think about it. Based on what Ganesh Baba, and I'm summarizing that discourse, based on what Ganesh Baba is saying, then when your mouth has no control, and I'm guilty of this, when your mouth has no control, and I'm meaning to say we all have to get control, think about what sin we can manufacture with this mouth, and we don't check on that. We say whatever we want to say, and then we tell ourselves, you know what, I did Shiv Puja today, I have a nice flag, I'm in kurta and sari, I'm a good boy. I go to temple, Baba told me to clap whole night and jump and wave, and I did that, and I'm a good boy or a good girl. But the truth is, when we are doing tarpan, as I said last night, and we are offering the till, the sesame seed, which in, I forgot which text it is, where the history, Gargrant says it, that the till comes from the body of Lord Vishnu. When he makes the sun and the third eyes upon the ball of fire, Suryadev came in a human form now to touch the feet of Lord Vishnu out of pranam, out of respect. And touching Lord Vishnu, the heat coming from the sun made Lord Vishnu sweat. From his face comes white till, from his chest brown till, the one that we might see in the bread and the tilly cake and all these recipes. And from his feet come black till. Gurpran says, what is the benefit of giving till? He says, the person who gives black till in charity, the sins I make via my mouth, my pronouncements, my speech, I'm asking praschit karma. Forgive me, dear God. Forgive me. Forgive me for what I say, for what I've done. Past sins, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. For this reason, when you're offering your dar to Mahadi Baba, we're doing havan. Think back when your Baba is with you. The rice and the sugar, and you see till in that area. When you're mixing it up, we're getting ready to offer into the fire, swaha. This is the value of that till. Think about it in terms of the knowledge. The knowledge is like the fire that burns the wood to ashes. The knowledge is what burns the sin to ashes. This is just a little example that in identifying the weakness of the mouth and the type of things that we say. Think about the conversation we have when we're making the parsad or we're cooking the food and we're doing anything. And Gita says, do what you're doing, do it for me. Do it for Krsna. You're giving the seed at Krsna Arpan. You're offering the flowers, Krsna Arpanam. You're sharing water, you're sharing hampers, not puja, but you're doing good things. You reach to work, you're in the car, Krsna Arpan. Krishna, go with me, Lord. Go with me, go with me. This is what the mind's supposed to have. But the truth is, the type of thought that causes the speech, if we look at just speech, this mouth, really, we become our own enemy. Arguably, like when we give white till in Dan, it says the thoughts we have, right? For sins created by our thoughts. Arguably, there are many people, but I didn't do anything bad, right? But think about your thought. Don't kill that man in my mind. Think about the words when we ill speak, when we gossip, and all these other things. And what is he talking about in chapter 4? Getting rid of those things. If tonight you listen to gossip, be honest. We're talking about being honest with yourself. Make a change to what you listen to. If you speak gossip, you love to talk about other people's business, come out of that. He says in Garbran, Prit Manjali, the tongue that likes to ill speak, talk false, lie, cheat, embarrass, break people, innocently break people. In next life, you might be born in a body, should you get a body, but you may not have a tongue that is working. You know, everybody says human birth, but there are people who are born in a human form, but they are not able to function as you and I. Some people are born with weaknesses, differences within the body that hinder their ability, hinder their movement. There are children that are born with birth defects and weaknesses like that, genetic and otherwise, that hinder them, although it is human form. They can't hold up flowers, they can't choose that I am going to listen to chapter 4 of Bhagwat Gita. I am going to ask my Guruji, could you please explain this verse for me? That child, although the heirs exist, may have committed some type of karma, as hurtful as it sounds. And the life left the body and now has been reborn with this problem, with this mark, with this stain upon the body. In that they are not able to do the normal, what we would consider traditionally normal. And everybody, we want to say we feel sorry, empathize for some people don't care. When parents have to deal with a child like that. But think about the poor parents. Oh God, full hope. The baby coming, and then their baby might never walk, never talk, never open his eyes, never say mommy. And then you'll understand how hurtful a life like that would be. When you see that, when you think about that, and then you listen as a Hindu, that if I do certain things, it's going to cause that. Naturally, children, naturally, you would say, you know what, I don't want to do that. I don't want that sin. I'm going to talk the truth. I'm going to do good things. I'm going to do good things. So, one of the good things, as I'm saying, is practicing silence. Practicing silence. Practicing control of your mind. And you know what's the beauty of practicing Mount Vrat? Mount Vrat, I could be, being frank, forgive me, my apologies. I could be on my cycle. I could be pregnant. I could be eating labar sabar. I could be wherever. And in that moment, and this is what Gita is guiding you to do. Don't only wait when you're in the kurta, when you're fasting, when you're in the prayer room. But wherever you are, you can do something. When you hear people talk about meditate and do yoga, maybe the word sounds very hard and that is some special thing to do. But imagine you're in a taxi on your way home, and for 2 minutes, you're not going to watch the phone, you're not going to text anybody, you're not going to YouTube, you're not going to talk to the friend next to you. For 2 minutes, you are just going to stay quiet. There are more intricacies to Mount Vrat worship. It says the person who does in Bhadau, the month, with the 16 days, they achieve Lord Shiva again. But all I'm saying is, as we train ourselves as novices, as little small people, now learning about our Dharma, learning about the way towards God, or back to God as he's describing the Lakshmi Mata, we must start somewhere. And if we only go to temple, and this is all we are doing, physically this, can't we do more? Everybody says, I can't sing, so we go as the audience and we look at singers. We look at people doing praise. Yes, we see it and there's blessing in it, but can't we do more? One example is Mount Vrat by just staying quiet. Another example, the second example, is by practicing this thing called Shravanam. Shravanam, he hinted it last night, by sacrifices or yagna, where you use your sense to hone good and godly things, good things. You give it to me, do it for me. So Shravanam now is that type of prayer, as I said before, where we are listening to godly things. You are controlling what you pay attention, what you enjoy, and then you go behind it as a hungry individual. As the soul is searching for things that will bring value. Think about the person who wants to hear uplifting conversations rather than gossip and heresy and all kind of crazy things. Let me listen to something that will benefit my soul. That is what Shravanam is. Just as a point, in the month of Shravan, the Ashram will be having Shravan Vrat Puja, as we did before. I'm putting everybody on notice. We'll be in contact with those of you that did it before. And with further details to take part, as we are still doing worship for the Lingam and all these other things, Stotra, Havan, Puja. And I'm urging everybody, if you've never done Puja in the month of Shravan, you get in contact with me, message me, and you could be involved. Wherever you live, if it's on video call, whatever it be. Definitely, please, for your benefit. Tonight, let us now enter to listen a little bit about the benefit of listening, as he says in the Mahatyam, when he talks, he says, by repeated study. Even if the person is full of sin, the one who is intent on hearing the meaning of Gita, the 18th verse of the Mahatyam, goes to Vaikuntha. Goes to Vaikuntha. Let's hear what happens. We enter into Padma Puran, where Lord Vishnu, again in this text, he's speaking to Lakshmi Mata, and he's explaining to her, he had explained the value of the first 3 chapters. This is the value, a different Mahatyam of the 4th chapter of Gita. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Lakshmi Vyakasa Gita Mahatyam Shudayetam Prakriti Tirtha Adhya Chauta Mahakovyanta Matulya Jiva Muktayate Narayanaya Krishnaya
Paramatmaya Namo Namah.
Narayanaya
Krishnaya Paramatmaya
Namo Namah. Vrindavan Bihari Lala ki Jai. He says, Devi, listen to the Bhardan, listen to the blessing that comes from just listening to chapter 4. Just by studying chapter 4. Just by reading it. Just by engaging chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita. He says, to listen to this discourse, a person gains forgiveness for the different types of sin and mistakes that they would have done. He says, it deals with 2 girls who had become Bhadari trees and then subsequently was able to reach to Vaikuntha. He says, when you listen to their discourse, then you will know the value of this chapter. Lakshmi Mata says, 2 girls? I expected to hear Brahman and Sadhu and doing Puja, Yagna. What does 2 little girls have to do with chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita? O omnipotent husband, please tell me this discourse. Tell me the story. Shiva Om Shakti Om Hari Om Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Avyada Varnasi Puro Bhagirata Rupa Nadi Param Bharat Muni Muni Ye Adhya Geeta Saraye Bhagat Yaha Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Shri Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai. And the reason I'm trying to sing some of these verses, by chanting these verses, like what we did with the Gita, brings about blessing just by listening, Prabhu says, in that city of Varanasi, Kashi, there flows the river Bhagirati, or the Ganga, another name for Ganga. Close to where the Ganga is flowing, there's a temple for the Vishveshwar, for Mahadev. And close to this is a Muni by the name of Bharat. Bharat is a person who practices reciting every day, verse to verse, verse to verse, verse to verse, the chapter 4 of the Gita. Carefully he mutters, he has memorized these words. And today I'm saying this sometimes when I'm guiding people. When we have Gaudan coming up, when you have Bhagwat coming up and you are preparing yourself, do you know that one of the things that you do is you get your copy, I give it out to people, I'll send you a copy. If you want it, please send me a message telling me if you need it. If I have people who are dying, people are ailing, Baba, let me be frank everybody, I committed abortion. I gave my child up for adoption and I gave away that child, I threw away that child. And I want to become free of that sin. What could I do? This is one example of what a person could do. By reading the verses over and over, becoming part of your daily study. This is what Bharat had done. Due to the study, this good one was able to control, because he's reading obviously what he's practicing, what he's chanting. And it talks about mental austerities. And by chanting the mental austerities, the person gains control over rage, depression, the jealousy, the dokidam, the couples, the opposites in terms of happy, sad, the opposites. He's in control and he's very calm. And he would go about saying his prayer, walking throughout the city of Varanasi, interacting with people, interacting and watching all of nature, the river, all these things. One day it so happened that this blessed soul was able to visualize Devatas had come upon the earth in the city of Varanasi, and they had taken shade, rest, where 2 badari trees were growing. And the Devatas used one badari tree for the pillow and the other for their rest, footrest. What is a badari tree? It is significant. Badari fruit is what in Ramayana Shabri Mata gives to Sri Ram. There are different names for it. People call it Indian plum. In Trinidad, it looks very similar. I wouldn't doubt if it is. If somebody knows about it, you could guide me. I'm not sure, but I think what we call the gulab jamun tree in Trinidad is similar, if not a similar species or a species of the badari fruit. Badari is what gives the name to Lord Vishnu, Bhadrinath. It is the history behind that name, partly. And this is a fruit that is used not only in religious ceremonies, but it is very potent. Just as people use the gulab jamun fruit in Trinidad for treatment of diabetes because it causes your diabetes to go down, and they use the twigs and the leaves in puja because of this medicinal purpose. Likewise, they use it for religious and medicinal purpose over there. So these trees are something that people seek after, they go after it, and it is something that is considered to be favorable. The money, he goes close to them. In this positive environment where devatas are assembled, he wants to enjoy the calmness and the peacefulness. Remember, I talked about the environment, the calmness, the coolness, the peacefulness that is going in that environment. He can sit down and he can do his meditation. He can do the austerity because it is so purified now, because devatas had assembled there. Imagine if the devatas assemble wherever the Gita is kept, in such a home, how peaceful it could be. That if a person wishes to say prayer, if a person wishes to get over anxiety, anguish, pain, being lost in the clasp of depression, keep it close. And in that positive environment, your body will naturally feed off the change. Bharat sat down, not interacting with the devatas in any way, but under the shade of the badari tree, he sat down and very quietly, using the posture, straight posture, so that the different chakras and his body would now be activated. In this posture, the energy of the self is able to align and move upward. To gain the joy, the happiness, he sits there. And what does he do? He goes from one verse to the next, chanting out aloud the verses of the Gita, chapter 4. And he remained there for 3 days, chanting over and over, in the night, in the morning. After he had gone and taken bath, he would come back and sit down and continue chanting. 3 days pass, and now it is time for him, Muni, to move on. And the Muni moves off. But something strange happens, mother. 5 or 6 days later, the 2 trees that were growing and were flourishing and blooming, they had all their fruits. The trees belabored heavy with the fruit. These 2 trees start to dry, wither, and eventually the 2 trees die. The soul comes out of these 2 trees, and they are reborn as 2 little girls. The 2 Jew from inside the tree are reborn into a family as 2 little girls, as a twin. In this Brahman home, they are brought up as young ascetics, learning prayer, good things, good teachings, and in that home, the parents teach them of the value of Gita. One day it so happened that that same Muni, Bharat, is passing in that district, passing their home. And the 2 girls recognize him. Let's hear what happens. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. 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 Muni Paro Pratayakshatam Prataye Bharataye Putri Prashchit Karamupalaye Prana Gitam Gitam Punaye Karakam. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. 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 Vrindavan Bihari Lala Ki Jai. See it in your mind. The Muni is walking and he is not paying attention to who is there, who is not there, just making sure he's safe. So it doesn't mean that if I am following the thoughts of chapter 4, that I become so dokier that I would walk in the middle of a busy street and let a car hit me. No. In the act of walking safely, do you remember he says, do what you're doing, but do it for me? Do what you're doing. You have to walk from point A to point B. You're walking on the pavement. You're looking out not to hit anybody. You're safe not to get bounced down, etc. But you are in your mind not distracted by the pretty girl that walks on the road or the guy that walks on the road. You're not upset that the sun is hot, for example. And in the act of walking, for example, a person who follows the ISKCON of Hare Krishna, every step they make, every breath they make, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. However, there are some people that will only say Ram Nam Satya Hai on the day of a funeral. Every step they make, Ram Nam Satya Hai, Ram Nam Satya Hai, when they're walking with the coffin. But whilst you're walking your normal day, how often, be honest, judge yourself. We're not in the Kirtana, we're not fasting, but in walking to Baba, yes. He says in chapter 5, go find it, you'll see what I say. Open your book and learn for yourself. He says in walking, sitting, running, eating, in doing those things, you can start to forget those things that distract the mind. There's a handsome guy walking, oh, I wish he could be my husband. Come out of that. I tried this, I tried to practice this, and one of the downside, one of the downside to this is, and I've realized this over and over when prayer matter is with me in the car. I'm driving and I'm focused on the road so much that I pay no attention to the person opposite me, their license plate. Anybody who knows me, and I'm asking for forgiveness. If you see me driving and I just pass and I didn't lift my hand or hit the horn, I have a habit of focusing on the road. I don't know what other people do. But Mommy Baba, she doesn't know everybody else's license plate. She just said, look, Dave now pass here. Look, Nishi now pass here. Look, this one now pass. How you know that? Because we driving, we moving. Yeah, well, I see the license plate. I saw them side the road. They were waving. You didn't see them? No. And it is possible to reach to your destination, do everything safe, but think about what I say. The little things that could distract you, we focus. And I guess that is the correct thing. In the driving example, every policeman will say, oh, Pandit, that is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to focus on the road. I think what Gita telling me, we're supposed to focus on the life. Instead of getting distracted all the time, focus on God. And in focusing on God, this is where the suffering stops. Because some people talk about, I get to enjoy myself, I enjoy my life. Yes. And what's the big deal with the death, birth, karma? There are things in your life that you forget the pain. Forget, okay, what it was like in the womb. But our texts tell us that it is not nice. The pain of the first time you break teeth or earache or childhood problems, the bully in the school, when he's now starting to get pimples, when people you like don't like you back, when you go for the job and the person says, no, you are not what I want, and you're helpless, you can't do anything about that. I can't hire a woman for this job, I need a man. I can't hire you because of your race or whatsoever. I can't hire you because you have no work experience. You don't have enough education. And that despondency, the less than feeling, you have to walk away with that. There are moments in people's life that really break you. When you think about failing an exam, when you think about a death in your family, is this life only happiness? Somebody is watching me now and I'm sure one of the sisters of one of my good friends, she's an ardent supporter of the KFC Mandir. And whenever KFC is open, she goes for Parsad in KFC. That might be a source of joy. But there comes a point in time when you see your body where we don't have teeth to chew the food. Where we stomach can't stomach the food anymore. Where the doctor says, you see that pepper, that ketchup, it ain't good for you. Where because of the different failures in the organs, the person has to learn, I love that KFC Parsad. My too, sorry. But I'm not talking to some children here too. But you love. You gotta have a time when you have to walk away from that. I remember when my grandfather was alive, he had diabetes running our family. And he had a bad habit. He used to eat bread and condensed milk. And he loved it. Everything he eaten, he had to have kuchela and lime pepper. It was one of those, that you have to have that. And my grandmother, God bless she, she's still alive. She was the one who didn't need all those things in her. She died. And one day I remember my grandfather telling me, you see all them things when you learn me making pepper, you learn, you're watching. Don't eat it. That's not that good. Don't eat it. One day, why that good? One day when you have to give it up, you grieve. I don't know if anybody else going through that right now. You will grieve when you cannot eat it. When you have to tell yourself, when you lose control and you enjoy it, and even the liquor one day the body says, no more. In this life, there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of moments that break a person's spirit, and it takes a strong individual and that strength that you need to overcome this life, to survive in this life. This is what we are trying to get the strength from our divinity. And we harbor and harness different practices. We call it praise, but not only puja. In our example, we are touching on a method to get progress by listening. We spoke last night and tonight at some extent about silence, and I'm just rehashing this for you to catch it. The two little girls run out, and Muni is walking calmly. He's like me. He's not paying attention to the other people. He's not paying attention to the other cars. See the image. And he is just paying attention. Lord Krsna, look how nice you make the breeze blow. Prabhu, look how nice you just make things. Look how these people are happy. Bless this place. Bless this place. And when goodly and godly people come, people who chant Gayatri Mantra, for example, when Guruji comes to your home, don't you wash his feet? The dust of the person who is chanting Gayatri, charged with this good energy and goodness, the austerity of the body and the mind will be shared for those people. Help those people that are around them. How? Listen. The two girls hold on to his 2 feet and they kiss his feet. They take the dust from his feet as he's walking and they pass it and massage with their own heads. And they say, oh great sage of Muni, due to your kindness, due to your help, we got liberation. Thank you for freeing us of the form that we had. Today we have come in the human form. Remember, we heard if a person reads half a verse, they remain in heaven long, and then they come back in this perfect human form. Here is an example. The Muni says, because he had forgotten that whole incident of just reading by the trees. These girls were about 7 years old, so some years had passed. The Muni porting, forgetting everything, he says, dear ones, I assisted in your liberation. How did I do that? How did I cause you to go from one form to the other? What happened? Please tell me. And the little girls remind him that there was a moment in Varanasi that you had sat by 2 great badari trees and you had chanted chapter 4 and we listened. In the essence, the energy of those trees, we listened as you recited. We didn't know the meaning of what you were saying. We did not know everything and the inner meaning, the inner meaning of what you were saying. But we listened. And we listened again when you said it. And we listened again. And simply by listening that chapter that you were chanting, we were able to get immediate liberation. As our energy was uplifted, we left those trees withered physically, and we were given the opportunity now to be born within the family, in a home that would care for us, take care of us, and train us in that type of knowledge that would lead us back to where we once were. So the Muni now, sometimes there are people who say prayers, chant the Chalisa. Yes, I'm a Hindu. Read the prayer. But they don't know the value of it. They don't know the power of it. Hindus say prayer, and this is a major point I want to point out to you. I don't know if it applies to you. Hindus say prayer, but have you ever heard a Hindu speak with weakness And then you come across a Hindu who might have conviction, faith, strength. My Hanuman will take care of me. Durga Mata will save us. With that strength, the money in this moment, he's confused and he says, my chanting, I was only reading chapter 4 and I was only thinking about it. What did I do? How did I help you? Tell me the history of how you ended up there, and then explain to me what in reality, what happened. So the little girls, they said on the bank of the Godavari, a long time ago, in a place called Chinapapa, there was a Muni by the name of Satya Tapas. Satya Tapas, in the hot sun of the summer. Now, India summer is different to our dry season. The heat, the arid nature of that sun. Like what people are seeing in Las Vegas right now on that western side of America. Great amount of heat. And he's sitting down very calmly and he started to do his Gyan meditation, tapasya, and he remained focused. His mind remained present. It was not upscotching, although he's praying. Then the season changed, rainy season, monsoon season, and his hair was continuously being wet with the rain as his body was being wet, but still he remained focused. He remained quiet. He did not complain. He did not do anything. Winter comes and his body is cold. And still this person who practiced restraint, remember chapter 17, verse 16, practice restraint. Always pure penance throughout the seasons, deriving joy and happiness, great joy, fixed his mind only on thinking about the true nature of God. What is the Jiva Atma? What is this thing called Param Atma? The truth. He bore great loves for the environment, and because of the flow of energy, he would feed the environment. He would add to the auspiciousness of the place. He would allow by his presence the trees started to flourish and bear fruit. The rains would come. He became a trigger for positive feedback from the environment, positive signs. So this is in the same breath when we meet somebody and it's something about their aura, something about their nature that drags you to them. A simple example, just to get that thought in your mind. Whether you live in Trinidad or elsewhere, I am sure we all go to the bank. Just an example of how a person's aura has an impact on you and I. So if we're in the bank and we're lined up in the queue, we want to reach to the teller to do our business. Have you ever found yourself quiet, silent, but your mind is thinking, you see number 2, teller, the person, I don't like how he looking. He looking like he will treat me bad. He ever help me. But you see the guy number 7, teller, counter, window, he looking pleasant. Me and know that fella, but I want to go by that guy. So now you're watching, okay, the next person then went by number 3. He will go by number 4, all right. Now this person will go by number 2 and I will get to go by number 7. All right, I'm going to go by number 7. I'm going by number 7. I'm going. And just something happens. Just as you want to go, you want your body darting in that direction because that is where you want to go. Sir, could you come to number 4, please? And inside your heart, oh God. But you ain't know nobody there. You ain't know them. Nobody didn't tell you anything bad. Nobody didn't tell you anything good to pull you or push you away. Something about them at 10 feet, you like or you dislike. That is where you're looking at the aura. And it says when a person has developed through their austerity, The goodness inside, like a light, like a fire, it radiates and it spreads to the environment, sharing the joy, the happiness, the light, the energy, and lifts the environment. His energy started to glow more and more. A lot of energy. The place started to feel as if it was becoming light. It was happy. It had a great aura. Because of this light, when we are doing, for example, in my family, in the Gosine family, when we are doing the funeral rite, have you ever heard, I know I put it out on Facebook, different satsang, we spoke about it, where if you look at, for example, the funeral, it's on YouTube, if you look at the funeral for Swami Prabhupada, the head of the ISKCON, for those followers looking on, they did not burn his body. Great people, Swami, Goswami or Gosine, they take these teachers and they bury them in Trinidad, in our culture, in different parts of western and southern parts of India. When Gosine died, because of their elevated status as teacher, this person is buried so that may the energy that I'm referring to, the aura that has been awakened inside the body, let it go to feed Mother Earth, and even in that moment, allow her to get the goodness, the energy, the flow, the cyclic energy that a person takes from the earth and they are now giving it back to her. But because the person has elevated themselves to this point, they are so potent, they are making a great amount of energy available. In the example of a funeral where there is burial for a saint or a saintly person, all this luster, all this energy, Brahma himself comes to see Satya Tapas, to see his prayer, and Brahma is inquiring from the plants and from all those on looking after him. Is he well? Is he okay? Is everything okay? And they try to, as they look at awe, as they enjoy his company, as they enjoy just being in his presence. Imagine today you had the opportunity to be in the company 5 feet or have a conversation with Sri Satya Sai Baba or Dattatreya Swamiji Ganapati. If you had these great souls and you were able to be in their company, one of the things that would happen, my aunts, my father's sisters who are alive still, they had the blessings to have personal audience with Sri Satya Sai Baba years ago. And one of the things that happened in the joy, in the moment, to be in the aura of great souls, like that, to that extreme height, some people say Bhagwan, to be in the company of that goodness, tears start to come, words can't come, because I don't know what to say. And in that divine moment, something, as people express what it is like for those moments, the devotee is in a moment of awe when they are in the presence of the divine. In this way, Brahma and others, they were wonder-struck. They were unable to move. They were drawn like fireflies to the fire. The fire that I'm referring to is the amount of tej, energy, coming out of the body of this Muni. Because of his amount of austerity, the depth of his prayer, the strength of his faith, they are in wonder of him. And just as it have good, it have bad. Just as Brahma and some of the devatas, they were enjoying just looking at the prayer and the goodness of this man. Indra, he is an individual. Sometimes names confuse people. Indra is not the name of the person, but Indra is like the prime minister. That is the name of the post. For example, the names, the titles that we give ourselves, sometimes it confuses people. So Indra now, the person who is sitting on the throne as the king of the devatas, he becomes a little worried because he is thinking that he is not capable to do what this guy is doing. If this guy asked Lord Shiva Brahma to have the throne of Indra, Indra lost already. So the two girls still talking to the Muni that helped them. He says when this had happened, Indra becoming very, very, very insecure. He called two of us. We at that time lived in Indralok as dancers, celestial dancers. And he says, go with your beauty, with your body on display. Everybody understand what I just said, right? With your body on display, go and distract that male. Distract that man. He's a man after all. Break his austerity. Break his prayer so that he may not become a threat to me. Create an obstacle in his penance that he's practicing. And in doing so, he will not be able to displace me, as he is very, very insecure. Based on the words of Indra, we went to that place by the Godavari river. And in our youth, with our figure and body on display, wearing all forms of jewel and bangles and different anklets and so on to make noise, we started to dance and sing. Other people came around. People came, and as we were twisting and turning and twirling and dancing, the blouse came undone. And the bosom of both of us were now on display. And in this way, the crowd gathered, all the men roared. And in that disturbance, the Muni, Satya Tapas, opened his eyes. And he gave us a shrub. As he was disturbed, he threw water from his kamandal on us and says, because you are displaying nakedness and your body in this way where you are looking for the allure of man, go and be turned into two badari trees at the bank of the Ganga and remain there. Remain there until such time as you will hear the chanting of the Gita to save you. Vrindavan Bihari Lala ki Jai. Why the tree? Gurupran says that whenever you are a person that enjoys nakedness or you want the allure of attention because of your figure, your gait, etc. In the story in Brahmavaivat Puran where Tulsi Mata is trying to allure Ganesh, why is the Tulsi plant not Tulsi Mata, a woman like how Radha Devi is here, and a plant? Because she, in that discourse, she had tried to entice him and say, look how, my figure is good, look how nice I am, etc. And he says, anytime you try to get somebody's attention because of your physique, what God has given to you, the health, the body, the youthfulness, you have it, but now you are using it for a different purpose. You are becoming you're becoming so egotistical, you're becoming so lusty, and you're using the body. Somebody could just have a body and be modest about it, but now you are becoming, certain amount of flaunting happening here. You will become a tree where spread your arms wide, and all the fruits, the things that were supposed to be private that you're advertising now, all the fruits are on display. So when people do this, this is where God takes the soul of the, let's say, the human, and he puts that person into the body of the tree. This happened with Tulsi. This happened, do you remember the discourse with the Ashwin Kumar when Krishna goes and he has to free Nala and Kubara? When he frees the two trees, they were frolicking nakedly and they got trapped to transform to trees. And likewise, because of the nakedness of the moment, he makes them turn into these two trees. We call those trees Indian plum trees, as I was saying. Due to this, we have been standing. We acted badly. And we stood there in those two trees for a long time. But O Muni, when you came with your pious mind and you chanted the verse 4 of that Gita with the way you were chanting it, not the tune or the twang or the pronouncement, but with the purity in mind, with the focus, not too distracted with what was going on. You did not even do it for a particular purpose. When you came to Varanasi, not unknowingly, you freed us from a life of punishment. And immediately we were given this human birth. Now that we have cognitive sense, now that we have the ability to hold our flowers or to use our ears, now we use chapter 4 in this home, listening to it over and over again. Why? By listening to chapter 4, Muni, a person becomes freed and freedom from not only from the sarap, the different type of curse. You're afraid somebody put them out on you. You're afraid somebody has done something to you. You're afraid that you are going through some form of shrap. Even when people are sapping, when people have different type of dosh, this is one way, very simply, you can be able to acquit yourself of that problem. Money, we bow to you as because of you and your chanting, we were only able to listen and we became free from this dreadful shrap. Therefore, thank you. And they bowed to him. Lord Vishnu says to Lakshmi, please clasp your hands. Let's do this last verse. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namah Papa Bhakshana Krita Sutika Nata Tathaye Satadashalega Karma Palaye Chauta Adhya Geeta Sarapunaha Shri Adi Shakti Mata Ki Jai Sharanam. He says, Mother, this is the benefit of listening to chapter 4. This is the benefit for the person who would imagine more benefit for the person to read, study, contemplate. For the person who says, I am going to allow somebody else to listen to this Mahatyam of the Gita tonight. All you have to do is share the satsang. You want blessings? Share the satsang. Listen to the satsang. And use technology for your upliftment. Tonight as I conclude with this discourse, this is the value of Gita. Me and Mommy Baba, we are putting together for those in the Ashram group. If you wish to join us, please just click on the link. It's on my Facebook page, on my home page. Click on the link so that you could join the group. If you're watching us after the fact, on the repeat, it is still not too late. Join us. And although if you're watching us on YouTube, please, I encourage you, join at my station so that whenever I do satsang, you'll be alerted to it. And you can join with me whenever we're doing reading again. I encourage you to keep a Bhagwat Gita with you. I hope tonight that these little discourses, just by listening to it, listening to the value of listening to positive things, speaking less, trying to be silent within your daily duty, and finding that time, slowly you're going to be able to get better and better at developing yourself to God. When we have problems, do you then try to do a whole set of prayers? Why not do the prayers when things are good so they continue to be good? Imagine somebody comes to take medicine when they're on the last foot of life, the last stage of cancer, when they're already losing body parts to gangrene. Now they want to control diabetes or whatever it be. It's too late. Ganesh Baba says, when a person realizes how short, when he's telling Ved Vyas why he was quiet, practicing Maun Vrat, when a person realizes how short life and how quick time flies, you don't waste your energy, you don't waste your time. And the first stage is controlling your speech. Then another way, controlling what you listen to. All these things contained in chapter 4. I invite you all to continue exploring your Gita. I've tried my best to edify and to give you the knowledge and quote where I'm reading from so that you would be able, if you have the interest, to go and look for it, or at least let us make a deal that from today as Hindus we are going to keep our Gita in our home. Imagine I came to your home, as I said, and I asked you, I forgot my copy. I don't have it. You could lend me yours. Be prepared to hand your Baba, not only me, but your Baba as well, your Guru, handing a Gita that is treated with respect, that is there, that is worshipped and utilized, and you will see the blessing in your life. As we come to the end of this Gita Gyan Yagna, it was my pleasure to spend this time with you, and I pray that Lord Krishna bless each and every one of you richly. I know the language is a little tough, and I always say based on your karma, and this is what we are taught, based on your karma, each person's perception and level of knowledge is different. So if you read Gita, what you perceive, what you see, what examples make sense to you, they are not irrelevant. They may be different to mine, and they are still correct. Because we will all read it and see different things. And in the Ashram group, when I send out messages and I ask them, so when you read this verse, what do you think? What did you feel? What did you get? This is where devotees now, sometimes 200, 300, they're sending back messages, and I get to interact as if in a class with everybody. I invite you to join that conversation, and as we continue, I promise we'll do Gita again. We'll do another chapter, taking with time to dissect verse by verse, introducing you to the value of these things. In Padma Puran, there is an explanation why it is going to chant chapter 1 to chapter 18. Every chapter and what it brings to the person. Remember, based on Padma Puran tonight, when a person has done mistakes, when a person has gotten shrap, when a person has done sinful activities, if just listening to the chanting of chapter 4, that one chapter, constantly they get the liberation that they are looking for, worst case scenario. So if we start to get into that habit, and I'm only harping on chapter 4, every other chapter has different benefit. Think about the quality of your life, and all we're talking about is maybe reading the little Gita or listening to the Gita on YouTube, maybe in your headphone when you're on the bus, train, taxi, whatever you have. You're on your lunch, you could be eating your food and listening to your Gita. When you're in trouble, you need help, and this is an example of very simple, very cheap, very easy help to follow. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. So, we have already read from Gita at length. For all the fathers today is about recognizing the input of a father and the value that he brings to the table and a family. The role that this individual plays. When I started, I said that my dad, 26 years ago, on the 16th of June, was his death anniversary, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this yagna. There are many people who have lost their ones and loved ones, and now, as I am about to do the Shivaram Stotra, Shiva Hari, Shivaram, as we are closing our yagna, we follow the protocol. We've chanted our Gita Mahatyam at the beginning of our Gita study tonight. I pray for the health and the welfare of all families and all fathers in particular, as it is Father's Day. For those people that lost their daddy, God bless your daddy and the soul of that person. God keep him and free him and forgive him if he made any mistakes. Shiva Hari, put your hand together, just as if you were in the temple with me. Just as if I was reading on your Singhasan at your home there in Yagna format, and we had the whole decoration, sound system, the crowd, the food, the parasad, the smell of the puja for 1 second. See it. Shiva Hare Shiva Rama Sake Prabhu Trivirata Panivarana He Vibhu Aja Janishwara Yadav Pahi Mam. Everybody. Shiva Hare Vijayam Kuru Me Varam. That line says, O Shiva, O Lord of Ram, you are the friend and the master of all. Protect me from all the type of distress and agony. O Master of this universe, O Shri Krishna, Protect me from unrighteousness. O Lord Shiva, make me victorious. We are fighting a plague. We are fighting a pandemic. We are fighting for freedom, for our rights. Dear God, we pray for what we need, our job, our finance, our family. Make us happy. Remember the value of happy. Make us happy, blessed, and prosperous. Kamalalochana Ramadaya Hara Guru Gajarakshaka Gopati Shivatano Bhava Shankara Pahimam Shiva Hare Vijayam Kuru Me Varam Sujana Ranjana Mangala Mandiram Bhajati Te Purushaha Paramam Param Bhavati Tasya Sukham Paramam Adbhutam Shiva Hare Vijayam Kuru Me Varam Jaya Yudhishthira Valdava Bhopate Jaya Jaya Ajita Puna Payunidhi Jaya Kripa Maya Krishna Namostute Shiva Hare Vijayam Kuru Me Varam Shiva Hare Vijayam Kuru Me Varam Shiva Hare Vijayam Kuru Me Varam. You know, sometimes we go to prayer, we go to puja, and when they're doing this, there are some who shortcut this thing and don't want to say the sutra. But remember, by the words we chant, by the prayer we chant, so the blessings come. O Krsna, in his last verse, beloved of Yudhishthir, you are the Lord of this creation. Again and again I bow to you, God. Creator of all virtues and happiness, grant me happiness. O Krsna, ocean of mercy, Kriparaj, my adorations to you, O Shiva, make me victorious, make me happy, make me blessed, and make me prosperous. Prem Sabalomavadi Mahadeva Ki Jai, which Yagna is completed without Geeta and without the chanting of the name of Sadashiva. Dear Lord, by your grace we have come to the end of our little Gyan Yagna. Don't worry, we'll do something again. If you have any ideas, if you'd like to hear me read anything, please send me a message. I would like to hear from all of you who are viewing and those of you that will share, and I'm encouraging you. I am imploring you to share so that other people can listen to the value of our Gita. And in a calm, very sada, very cool setting, some people have enough turbulence in their life. And in this calming way, I hope that I have added to your repertoire of knowledge, your library, your understanding of things of your Dharma. I can't cover the Gita in 1-3 nights. I can't do that. And I won't attempt it. But what I'm trying to do is to whet your taste buds, to gain you the interest that there's so much more. Look forward, in this week coming, we will do the copy of the Gita, how I give it out in chapter 4 for people who are doing Gaudan, people who are praying for different type of liberation. When in conversation, I could guide you with chapter, and you could start to practice that as we try to hone ourselves and develop ourselves to get back to where we came from. Everybody put your hands together. Tonight, as I conclude, I thank you for your listenership. I thank you all for your comments, your kind words, sharing it for all the different groups throughout this world. For those of you looking on at YouTube, again, please join my channel. Share, like, comment, everybody, you know the drill. Let's join together as we face final pratna. Dear Lord, we thank you for this time, and we thank you for this opportunity to pray to you in this way. May you give me the strength and the fortitude to become closer to this Gita. May you help me to become a better devotee, Prabhu. Thank you for giving me the karma that I had the opportunity to listen to this. Wherever the fathers are, bless them. Wherever my daddy is, dear God, on behalf of my sisters and my mother and all his family, those that remember Dayanand Jivan Gosine, Wherever that soul is, bless him, dear God. Let him know his son remembers him, his daughters remember him, his grandchildren remember him in prayer. Tvameva mata chabita tvameva tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva tvameva vidya dravidam tvameva tvameva sarvam mama deva deva tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Prem Sablamapati Mahadeva ki jai, Pawana Putra Hanuman ki jai, Shri Adi Shakti Mata ki jai, Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai, Satya Sanatan Dharma ki jai. Jai Jai Sitaram. Sitaram everybody. So from me and Priya Mata, we love you. God bless you all. I hope you had a good day. For some of you, we are already on Monday. I hope you had a good, blessed Sunday, and I hope you have a safe and blessed week. We love you. I'm saying it. We love you and we wish you God's blessings. Until we get to meet in satsang again, God bless you. Sitaram.